Now.
Okay, that's good.
Good. So how are you
want
today?
to be recording earlier than this. I want to be recording starting now. Did we coordinate our clothes tonight? Like the color?
Man, we are good. I wish we did talk about it, but we didn't, but we're good. We're good at this.
It works out well that it's a coincidence. Same shade of orange and everything.
Right.
Hey, Tina.
How are you today?
I'm a little bit weird. I was having a great day. My girlfriend made sure that I was like, I got taken to brunch. I got taken out for like just an extended, relaxing, enjoyable day. But the last part of it, she took me to see Everest.
Oh.
And Everest is like, I've read John Krakauer's Into Thin Air, but years ago. And Everest, I just kept, like, the whole way through, I'm asking, why? Why would you do this to yourself? They're like 5 minutes into the movie, and they have the female doctor who's at base camp. And she's saying to them, she says, at 25,000 feet, your body starts to die. Now, the summit's at like 33,000 feet. So for 8,000 feet, step after grueling, it's going to take you 18 hours to get there. No matter what you do, step, your body is physically shutting down. And people are doing this on purpose to themselves. And I'm just asking myself, why? Why would you do this? And I'm a spiritual person, deeply, deeply spiritual. I cannot come up with a good spiritual reason for, because the answer, why do you climb a mountain? Because it's there. Mm-hmm. It's not working for me. I'm just...
Okay.
Do you have a brilliant insight? Can you share some brilliant insight with me?
So my version would be because, you want to defy the odds, right? That it doesn't have to be true for you. Like once you hit 18,000 feet, if I am in tip-top shape and, what if her statistics have nothing to do with me?
So there was a woman, okay, so the movie is about 8 people, actually 12 people who died on the mountain, and a guy who comes back down literally was left for dead twice. He was a Dallas doctor, and he's played by Josh Brolin in the film. But he's a Dallas doctor, and he's basically a really like high-end amateur climber. He's prepped for this, but he's not like a big mountain climber. Mm-hmm. And he's with a woman on the summit who it's her last mountain. Everest is the tallest mountain in the world, but it's her last mountain. She summited all 7 of the other mountains, and this is her last one. And she died up there that day. She's one of the people who died, and he should have died. And instead, like 24 hours later, after he's been left for dead, he comes to with this vision of his family calling him and his family encouraging him. And he ends up standing up and climbing down the mountain. Wow. Both his hands and his nose because of frostbite. Mm-hmm. But he was eventually airlifted off the mountain, and he did make it down alive. And he said it was his family and this like deep calling of his family. And he said he should have lost them all, but he said his wife wasn't the give up type. Because I was reading a long article that was written by him afterwards where he talked about this, and it's identical to what they show in the movie. They go to that place where it's like he's in this really difficult spot, and then all of a sudden you see his wife, you see his children coming at him, and the sun-kissed vision, and you're like, this is the movie. But no, apparently that's actually what happened to him, and that's what caused him to stand up and walk down back to the camp even after he'd been left for dead for 24 hours, which is a long time on the mountain. So I suppose, okay, so from a business perspective, I know we're like doing the whole business transformation.
Yeah, you know what? We talk about whatever, it's good.
But so from a business perspective, let me just say, I get that on some level, it's about going against the odds. It's about achieving, even though there's just almost no physical way, but you're going to do it anyway. And I suppose that's part of what happens on, not just in the mountain, but in the mountain of doing business.
Well, that's the story of my life, So if I was to equate what you just watched, right, to my life, for whatever reason, people would not believe, especially, where I come from, where I've been, what I've been through, that I can put together $1 million company like that. Who would know? Right? Because it's supposed to look a certain way, right? It's supposed to feel a certain way. And so many people make it out to be something that it really isn't. And so, you just decide, there's something that happens inside of you and you just decide it's going to work and I'm going to do it no matter what.
Yeah, it's funny because I could tell, like, from the first moment the movie came on, I was like, this is not me. I do not have the thrill-seeking gene. I am not interested in climbing mountains. But when I think about this from the standpoint of a business, I will come back again and again until I summit the mountain.
Right.
That's all good for me. And I'm reminded, I think I talked about this last week and in our blab last week, but I'm reminded again, Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb 108 times.
Right.
How much is that like trying to summit Mount Everest? I mean, it's like the thing that, that's the hardest thing for us to do. And we just keep going and keep going and keep going. So I guess from a business standpoint, I feel so much better because it's like from a mountain climbing standpoint, I was just like, why are we doing this? Why do these people care? Like, go home, go be, kiss your babies. The guy who was actually the one who led the expedition, the one who was in charge of all the other climbers, he had, and he died on the mountain before she was born. He went and took a guy up like that almost didn't make it, and the guy was like, "Come on, and they went up together, and the guy fell off on the way down and died, and then he got stuck on the mountain in a storm and died. So it's just kind of sad, but.
So, I mean, I think that's a great topic, though, what you're bringing up for tonight, the fact how many people give up before the magic happens, right? Or before that aha moment, that vision, that whatever. And so, to not make it so woo-woo, right? Because, me and you are woo-woo and we can keep being woo-woo.
Yes.
We can be woo-woo all night, right? But like Darren Hardy, when he first started, when he was first in business, he was doing something, I want to say it was with some type of water filters or something, right? And he went to his parents or his grandparents and did the whole entire community and then ended up flooding people's kitchens, right? And I mean, to the point where they had to go fix stuff for like everybody that bought because of who his relatives was and all of that kind of stuff. And he could have gave up right there. He could have gave up, but he didn't. And most people give up.
It's funny because I've been in business for myself for 25 years. I like to say I'm like massively unemployable, right?
Right. Can't work for anybody. No.
Who would be willing to hire somebody who's going to be like, I've done this and this and that. Anyway, but I've successfully run, I think, like 4 companies now. I think my current entity, which is a year old in January, is my 5th. So it's been an interesting process, but and in each company I've had like a certain amount of really big success, followed by things like, market downturns. Like when I was in real estate, I really rode the crash like into the ground. And I've learned from both of those things, but nothing at, the highs, the lows, I've learned from those, but nothing ever made me say, oh no, I'm not starting my own business again. I'll never do that. It's not possible. It's just like, you just pick yourself back up if your business fails and you say, I'll be going on to the next thing that I'm called to do in this world. And that's the work. And it's very interesting. It's not unlike summiting a mountain. That analogy is really like, it's doing it for me tonight. Thank you.
It is. It's a good analogy. I mean, think about it. Most people realize you got to put the momentum in going uphill, right? So right now, I mean, sometimes I get clients that come to me and they really have been like believing all the hype right? The headlines. There's only 140 characters or whatever that can fit in that headline, right?
Right.
So that headline says you're going to be rich in 30 days. And you know what? You're going to, whatever that magic pill is for the day is going to, turn your life around. But there are so many other things that have happened and are going to happen in order for that to be the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't fit in that headline.
Yeah. And it's interesting because a lot of people, I think, the statistics, I'm sure, about the weight loss industry, how the diet pills, like how much money you can make selling diet pills. And it's phenomenal, but it's that whole get rich quick, get thin fast, your business is going to be terrific. I mean, your thing, your topic tonight is what you can do in the next 30 days to ignite your business. And igniting your business is really powerful, but you didn't say just succeed beyond your wildest dreams to be able to retire. It's like it's a jump start. It'll jumpstart you, but there's so much work that has to be done for you to be like permanently successful in your business, for you to become, your own cottage industry. And for some people, they've done that. And for other people, it's coming, but it doesn't happen for everybody. And, there's a certain alchemy. And I think part of it is people understanding, I've got a client right now. She's a wonderful person. I've known her for a really long time. And she has a lot of business power that she's not familiar with. So she doesn't think she has it, which is fun because I can see that in her, even though she can't. But one of the things is like, she doesn't understand the idea of working on the business instead of in the business. She only really deals with the fact that like there are these fires and the fires are coming at her and she must take care of the fires and then her day-to-day work. And I said to her, we need to get you to a place where you can work so much smarter. And part of that is going to be you working on the business at least a half a day a month. I think that's like the bottom line for all entrepreneurs. You should be working a half a day on a month at minimum on your business. And that means strategically thinking about what do you want? She's in the middle of a growth spurt. She's looking for a new location for her business. And we were talking about the size of the location when we started, and she's 6 months now. She hasn't been able to find the location and she's getting up to a deadline. And I said, well, let's talk about this. By the time we got finished talking about it, it was clear she needed to be looking for a space twice the size she was actually looking for. She's already outgrown 2 other spaces. And I said, is it possible that like this hasn't been happening for you because it's not supposed to be? You should be looking for this property instead of this property. But it's like, if you're so busy with your head down in the weeds, you're not thinking strategically. She knows she's going to expand bigger than that within the next 6 months. So of course she needs to be thinking ahead. And that kind of strategic planning is going to save her so many headaches in 6 months.
Yeah. So you say a half a day a month, and I say 3 to 5 hours a week. You need to be looking at what you're doing, working on your business and not in for 3 to 5 hours a week.
So that you think then at least a day a month would be that total, probably even more. You'd be saying a day and a half to 2 days a month. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I believe that there are going to be times when you need to course correct. We can all think we're going to get it right the first time, which just isn't going to happen. And the brilliant thing about being in business for yourself is that you can look up and go, oh, wait a minute, this isn't what I wanted. And you can course correct. But the only way you can do that is if you're paying attention, because you can go so far down the wrong road if you are not watching what you're doing. So I think that's a really, really good point that you bring up. And, oh man, you know what? We didn't spend like 15 minutes already, right? So I think we better get into what was our topic for today. So let's talk about some of the things you can do to like really ignite your business in the next 30 days, right? And so number 1 today is get clear on what you're selling. I can tell you when I'm doing strategy sessions, new intakes for clients, 75% or more are not clear on what they're selling when they go into business for themselves. They cannot articulate it very well. they're not very confident of who that client is. And of course, if anyone says, somebody tells me anybody can use my service, I'm like, go back to the drawing board. I mean, that's number one, right? So that's the first thing. Get very crystal clear on what you're selling.
I didn't do this at first, but when I got into the current business that I'm in, doing my coaching work, I sat down and I wrote out who my ideal client was. I gave her a name. She had an occupation, an age. I looked at all of her demographics, and that was what I was focusing on. So my ideal client is Susan, and Susan's an actual person in my head. And when I write an ad, when I write, marketing copy, when I write a piece, I'm writing it for Susan specifically. And that's helped tremendously, because when you write for a general audience versus writing for a single person, it changes how it sounds when you're talking to people, and it makes it much more accessible when you're writing for a single person.
Okay. Yeah. And so I'm going to take that a step further. Because, I have the video, The Power of One. And so for me, your customer avatar, that everyone calls it, is the pain point and not necessarily the demographic. So I agree. You named her Susan. Most experts say, is Susan white? Is she black? Is she, what's her age? Where does she live? Is she married? All of those kind of things. Mm-hmm. I don't even think you need to know that. What I think you need to know is what pain is Susan in, and what solution are you going to offer her?
Right.
Once you can give a solution to the pain, then you have a client.
Yeah,
it's the first step of the buying process. So I love that you named her Susan. So if you want to get clear on growing your business and growing it fast, the two things Hallie and I just said: know what you're selling and know who you're selling it to. That way, when all of these other things start coming your way, because I can tell you what new entrepreneurs do a lot. Let's say they get on this path and then somebody goes, oh, well, you know what? How about this? And then all of a sudden they want to create that because somebody else said, how about this? And that takes them off of their path. And so even if they get that one sale, that is not truly what they planned on doing in their business. So then now their whole marketing plan, everything that they thought they created, is now stagnant and sitting over in the corner, and it all has to be created again. Mm-hmm. And in online marketing space, we call that the bright shiny object syndrome, when we're buying a whole bunch of different things. But you know what? Entrepreneurs have that, especially when you're in feast or famine mode, that you are just going to try to make a sale no matter what, that you get so far off topic and off target, your business can't grow fast because you're not staying dedicated to what it is that you had clear in your head that you were going to sell.
Yeah, totally agree. So what else can people do to ignite their business in the next 30 days?
And learn how to sell without selling. When you go to a networking event, if you're online networking, if you're wherever you are, you should be able to give people something for value so that they can connect to you. I tell people you got to make that heart connection first. Meet someone exactly where they are. And I call it a heart connection. It doesn't necessarily have to be a heart connection because people think that's way too woo-woo. But you need to meet people, meet them where they are and what they have going on, and provide a solution for that. And so once you do that, now they're listening. And because there's so many different steps to the buying process. They say it takes 7.
Give me an example of what that looks like when I'm giving somebody that heart connection value that you're just talking about.
So a lot of times, like, let's say we're at a networking event and, most people are teaching you to do that elevator pitch, right? When I go out to a networking event, I listen. And I make sure that I'm listening very attentively. And because of all of the people that I'm working with, I can always offer a solution to pretty much everything, regardless of if it's something that's going to benefit me or not. So there could be a time, I mean, you've done it for me several times. There could be a time when I'm out networking and I'm going to recommend you because I'm not a fit. So I'm going to recommend you.
Yeah, and I have done that. I have done that for you, and I've done that for other people for sure.
Absolutely.
Not everything's a fit, but I always am going to want to offer that business connection, even if it isn't. Yeah.
And so most people go out and network and they're disappointed, right? They're disappointed because they come home with no sales, no possible way to really follow up because all they were talking about was, my elevator pitch, and they were going around collecting all those business cards, and it had no meaning at the end of the day. Those business cards sit on the table and they collect dust, and you don't have any meaningful connections from your, you going out there trying to network or whatever, even online. Most people are so busy just sending out that buy link, right? That it's just not, there's no value there. There's no connection yet. Give people stuff. You and I talk about video all the time. That's the V word for me, right? Is video. People can know, like, and trust you. I mean, that's a term, an internet term, right? Know, like, and trust. They can know, like, and trust you better if you present yourself in video.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that is definitely a way to speed your business up in the next 30 days. Because look at all of the people who will not use video because they're like, oh, like today we're sitting here, no makeup on, no nothing, right? And we're just doing it. You can tell we know what we're talking about. You can tell we do this for a living. You can tell that, we're pretty effective at it because we're sitting here and we're just having a frank, open, honest dialogue. It wasn't planned. We came up with a topic. We went off topic for 15 minutes.
No, it was all on topic. It's all,
it was all on
going
topic.
in a good direction. Hey, I wanna just ask right now if anybody wants to sit down in the hot seat. I want to ask if anybody wants to talk about their business. Is there something that we can do to help you? And we want to hear a little bit about your business and get it ignited in the next 30 days. So if you're on live and you feel brave, you can request that open seat right now. And Tina and I would love to help you. And otherwise, Tina, before or while we're hoping somebody comes on and gets brave tonight, what's like one other big thing that somebody could do to ignite their business in the next 30 days?
If you're willing to put some money in, Facebook ads.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Ooh.
We have a
request to join.
Yeah. Hello. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. So why don't you tell us your name and tell us your business?
My name is Glenn Warren. Actually, it's a nonprofit.
Okay.
We help fathers reunite with their kids who are not paying child support and not doing the thing they need to do. The court system got into our program.
Props right now.
Yeah, like you see, both of us are giving you a hand because we need that, right? We need that in the world. So tell us, how can we help you today?
Well, I just, in addition to that, I wrote a book called, it is right here. It's called Chat and Chew, Inspirational Short Stories. We have been chosen to put this book into 1,500 prisons. And of course, we have to raise the money to send the book. So it's a big organization that they choose authors who really can motivate people in prisons. So they've chosen our book. And so now we've got to try to kickstart getting people to get the book to send to the prisoners.
So I'm really good at book marketing. So you just happen to jump in the right seat today. Okay. So first and foremost, is your book on Amazon?
Yes, Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay. Have you made it a bestseller on either platform?
No, I have not. It just came out in April.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you this really quickly, right? And you want to do an organized buy on Amazon, Okay. And this is going to sound, people are going to go, oh, why would you want to do this? So I'm going to explain the whole thing to you. So you want to do an organized buy on Amazon. You want to pick a day and you want to get at least 100 people to buy your book. Even if you have to reduce the price of the book for that day so that they will buy. So now you're like, well, why would I want to give away money? Because once it becomes a bestseller on Amazon, Amazon starts marketing your book for you. So your database is not as big as Amazon's database, right?
Right.
And so how would you feel if that little book you just held up is now going out in all of the emails, right?
Right.
Of Kindle users, of book buyers, because now it is important to Amazon because they want to make money. So if your book is selling and it becomes a bestseller, they're like, more people are going to be likely to buy this book. And so this premise works on a lot of different platforms. This premise, this whole strategy actually happened way before the internet ever was even thought about. Okay. And it's just based on the fact customers who bought this also bought. So every time you get another person to buy your book on Amazon or any other national retailer, this doesn't just work for books either. It works for clothes. It works in any kind, Nordstrom's. It works anywhere. But what happens is if I were to go buy your book, it's going to say now underneath, it's going to look like this. Customer who bought this book also bought these 10 other books. So you'll think about buying them too, because what we know, or, the good old saying, birds of a feather flock together. So we start thinking that everybody thinks alike. So you definitely want to do that. And so let's talk about this prison thing next, right?
Okay.
So tell me a little bit more about what they're going to do. They're saying they want to take your book and get it into all of these prisons. And what do you have to do this?
I have to collect the money to buy the books to give to them to put in the prison.
Okay. So are the people who are likely to read these books in prison, will they be getting out anytime soon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they'll be getting out.
So what I would do is I would look for an organization that specializes in helping reentry, because they get federal, let's say they're a nonprofit organization and they get grant money for that.
Right. Okay.
So their grant money can go to your book to feed their audience.
Gotcha.
And is it possible, because you said you were a nonprofit, is it possible that you can also apply for a grant directly?
Yes, we could. Yes, because of, yes.
But you haven't done that yet?
We haven't done that yet. No, we have not done that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I would suggest that. I don't think it's very difficult to apply for a grant. I know people can get hired on like writers' databases and stuff. There's like guru.com and iFreelance.com are two resources to hire writers. You can probably hire a grant writer. Sometimes the grant writers will work on contingency. In other words, they'll work for free and then they'll take a portion of the money that comes in from the grant for their services. And so they're kind of getting paid to play. So if they're not great writers, they're not going to get paid for their services. So it incentivizes them even further. And that would be a way to do it, because if you're a nonprofit, I'm assuming you don't have a big budget. The other thing I want you to consider is, if you have enough resources, if you know enough people, consider a Kickstarter campaign. I mean, we said specifically, we need to kickstart this. Kickstarter is only one of the platforms. GoFundMe.
GoFundMe, yeah, there's a few of them.
And there are several of them, but you just would want to pick one, and you would want to go after, Indiegogo is another one, I think. And so any of those platforms are going to give you the ability to ask people to kind of crowdfund what you're doing, because the value is there. But Tina's right. I would start with a bestseller campaign for two reasons. One is, if you get 100 people to buy, you're going to hit that bestseller in your category. that day, drop the price of 99 cents. She wasn't specific, but I'm being specific with you. Drop the price of 99 cents for 24 hours. Tell everybody to buy during that 24-hour window. In fact, ask them to buy between like 8 and noon that day or whatever, and go for a specific time period. And then you're going to be able to say, I'm a best-selling author. This book is a bestseller, and that is going to give you some juice to get your marketing campaign going for your book, and also within the prison system as well. Yeah.
And there are so many benefits to what she just said. You know, that whole strategy. There is, for instance, creating your Amazon Author Central page as an author. Once it becomes bestseller, you know, I can tell you when people Google me right now, one of the things that comes up first is my Amazon page. So that gives me like link credibility because people are like, you know what I mean? So like my book shows up. That's a great thing. The other part I want to tell you is that we kind of threw out a lot of stuff at you. And I would, you know, the Amazon one, it should be first. Okay.
Okay.
I'm saying you should do all of them because as entrepreneurs, we need to get a whole bunch of balls rolling, right? So that we can gain momentum. Right. But I'm saying do the Amazon one first. The second thing I would do is I would go to good old Google. And I know I'm not using the right words right now, but I would search for the organizations, nonprofits, bigger nonprofits than you, that serve that demographic, that help with re-entry back into society. They're getting a lot of money. Like, for instance, they can buy new clothes, like suits, for them to go on job interviews. And I know I'm probably not using the right wording, but if you go Google them and you say that your book is specifically for that and you already have this arrangement, a lot of times nonprofits have to spend. What happens with a grant, right, is let's say you want this grant for multiple years. If you are awarded $100,000 grant and it's renewable for 5 years, if you don't spend all $100,000, your next year, however much you spent this year, is now going to be reduced to that. So even though it might sound like, why would they want to give my organization the money? They have to, you know, there's a lot of different filings that they have to prove. In a lot of grants, you have to prove where that money went to. It went to a program for how it was specified. And so this would fit. So I would definitely do both of those.
And I want to make a suggestion to you real quick. LinkedIn, if you're not on LinkedIn, you absolutely should be. But LinkedIn is a great business resource for researching people. A lot of times you can connect with people much more readily than you can on Facebook or on Twitter or on Google Plus or any of the other social media platforms. It's like it's taken the most seriously from a business standpoint. And so you might find that somebody you're looking for in the prison system or in the grant system or for a nonprofit that matches, that you can get to them on LinkedIn. You just ask for a connection. Half the time they just go yes. And you know, this guy looks like a nice fellow, and click, and then you can send them direct emails. If not, for like under $100 a month, you can still send them direct emails because LinkedIn has a system to get you around that. And it's a good resource. It's from a business standpoint, though, you'll be taken very seriously if your message comes in from LinkedIn, because it's not used as much as a way of connecting as, you know, and Facebook is just not thought of as a, you know, like a serious business tool. So
And so one more thing.
Other than that, the replay will be available after this.
Yes.
Good notes. You just want to read the replay, watch the replay after.
Yeah. Okay. That's good, Allie. Yes, the replay. But one more thing. This has nothing to do with the books. This just has to do with overall getting more money into your organization. Use video.
Okay. We just put one together last week.
And so even if they're not super produced, like Hallie and I are both sitting here today with no makeup on, right? And, we're still fly, but, we're sitting here with no makeup on, right? And what I want you to know is that you are doing, your mission is huge, and it's something that everyone can relate to, putting fathers back together with their kids. And so if you can start sharing success stories, if you can just share how you've helped one person reunite with their father and allow that to be in video, that kid may be talking about their dad or even the father talking about the kid. That is all the advertising you really need. If you think about it, to a Kickstart campaign, an Indiegogo, whatever it may be, because those relationships, no matter what, and again, on the level where you're talking about, if these fathers are in prison and then they have to be reintroduced into the kids' lives, there's a lot of healing that has to happen around that. And we all understand it. So if you put those stories out there, I believe that you will begin to attract the right people to help you with your mission. Okay.
One more question, then I'm going to leave. When you do a bestseller on Amazon, how many books do you have to sell to be a bestseller?
That's a really difficult thing to say. I'm going to say shoot for 100. Okay. If you're in a competitive category, it could be slightly higher. But I'm going to give you a couple of things to keep the number low. So these are the couple of strategies. Do not do this on a Tuesday.
Do not do it on a Tuesday.
Okay. Most major book publishers release books on Tuesday. So you don't want to.
Right.
Because you'll be competing with them. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, look at your categories on Amazon, right? So when you're looking at your category on Amazon, let's say, like my book is in a business and marketing, right? I'm going to go look and see who's number one in my category. And I'm going to find out how many books have they moved today.
Okay.
And then I'm going to make sure I beat them.
Wow.
Yeah, Amazon's statistics aren't specific. And like, if you wanted to be a New York Times bestselling author, I couldn't tell you how many. Nobody could tell you how many, because they got the lid on that stuff. But what it's based on is the sales, as Tina said, of that day. So if you want to be number one, you can see their stats on a daily basis every day on Amazon.
Okay.
And a lot of it is controlled by an algorithm, right? So there's not a bean counter sitting out there saying, oh, he sold 5 books, right? It's an algorithm. And so if you take and you do a lot of books in a short period of time, you're going to trip some algorithms that are going to start saying, oh, we need to pay attention to this book.
Okay.
Makes your sales easier and easier at that point.
And it's going to give you exposure. So it's going to start helping you out.
Wow. Now what's a good, the book is $11.95. So what's a good price to sell it on Amazon?
So I'm saying that day, 99 cents.
Okay, gotcha.
We're saying drop it for just that day.
Yes, okay.
There's other things that can happen too. So, on Amazon, you can have free days for your Kindle version. You get 5, I think, free days for every title, I think it is. And so you don't have to do them all at the same time. And again, why would you want to give it away for free? Because if you can get a lot of people to download it in that free day, then now it can trigger the marketing from Amazon, Kindle, and the other resources. Okay. So, yep.
Cool. Great.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your advice.
How exciting that you're doing this. I'm
gonna do it. The book is not just for fathers. The book is for everybody. It's really life stories. We use like a day late and a dollar short. We talk about life in general. We talk about chicken wings, which somebody allows somebody to take your JoJo away, so to speak.
Okay.
A day late and a dollar short. Those are kind of stories. So they're not just for men, but they also stories in there about men. So I'm going.
So take your second one more time though, and plug your business with your website.
Okay. www. I can write it.
Just tell us.
Oh,
just tell us.
www.afatherforever.com.
Okay.
And for the book, it's www.achatandchew.com.
Okay.
A
chat and chew.
Okay, so I just posted both of those in the chat window.
Okay, cool. Great. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, many blessings. Good luck with it.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. So, Tina, we've still got some people. Do we want to ask if somebody else wants to sit in the hot seat, or are we sending everybody home now?
We can take another one. If anyone else wants to jump on, we can take another one.
Somebody else would like to sit in the hot seat, get your business ignited in the next 30 days?
Yeah, absolutely. So, his strategy is a pretty good one. A book, best-selling book, position yourself as an author, position yourself. That's a really good one. So
Travis says we should ask Nicole. I know Nicole is on the call. She's been sending props out and making little comments and everything. But Nicole, I don't know. Hey, Nicole, you want to come sit in the hot seat? Come on. It's getting cooled off because there hasn't been anybody in it for a minute. So you want to come on board and we can help your business.
Come on in, Nicole. We can tell you that our clients are making a lot of money. They may not start out making a lot of money, but they make a lot of money. They're learning structure. They're learning systems. They're learning, a lot of different things that help them make money while they sleep.
And they're learning to get out of their own way. Yes. This is important.
Yeah. So
that's the most important, as far as I'm concerned. If you don't learn to get out of your own way, it's just like hang it up. So
we're having too much fun doing this at 9:46 on a Sunday.
I had mimosas for brunch, and it's still like I'm just happy this evening.
Okay, well, I did not have mimosas, so that is not fair. But yeah, so it's just not fair.
Send you some mimosas up your way. So Nicole seems to have gotten cold feet because she's getting a call and she's not answering it. And that's the truth, is what they say, many are called and few are chosen. So it's like, if you get the call, not everybody answers. So Travis is just like, I don't know what.
God, he is calling her out, right?
But he wants you in this hot seat. So
yeah.
All right. So you were saying the last strategy that you were going to give people for tonight is video. And you had some really good things to say to the guy at Fathers Forever about how video could benefit him. Sharing the stories of the fathers and the children and how they were reunited, and that would make somebody interested in his business and the book and everything. So how else can people use video to ignite their business?
Same thing. So a nice journey story, a nice story of transformation in video. Talk about your previous clients, because wherever you have one, you have two. So if you can talk about a client, like Hallie was talking about, her client's name is Susan, right? So let's say
my client is Susan. Yes, that's right.
Yes. So let's just say that, you helped a Susan, right? Whatever the person's name is. Hallie could literally just start talking about, she doesn't have to name the person, but she now understands what made them buy from her. So she can actually take and start talking about that, and then, bring it full circle on why a person who is just like Susan would want to buy from her too. So, and you can do that very well in video, very, very well in video.
Yeah, my experience is to keep it really, because, I do coaching work, so all of my client work is very private. But there's some general lessons. I mean, half the time I'll have 3 clients in 1 week and I'm on the phone with them and I'm like, oh my God, they're telling me the same thing. And they have very disparate lives, but they're telling me the same thing. So you can definitely generalize if something's happened with one client without, giving away personal information. And then that, once you get them to feel that pain, and this is something that, well, Tina, I think you might have taught me, that you talk about the opportunity for the transformation.
So let's talk about why we go for the pain. It's not that we want to exploit your pain, right? That is not what it's about.
Right.
It's not like we want to keep you in pain because we have a solution for you. But what we know is that most people will react to avoid pain faster than they will react to seek pleasure.
Right, right. Which is funny because you think people are such pleasure seekers, but yes, absolutely. That's definitely a tried and true marketing thing, that people want that pain avoidance. And that does make a huge difference. That's the fastest reaction that they've got. So, and they also want to be able to relate. They want to be able to relate to you, but they definitely want to be able to relate to what you're saying about how you're helping, because it's like, oh, you can help me as well because you're doing the same thing that you were doing for this other person. You could do this thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, you know, so like if we were talking about the people that come up that look for me, right? Most of the time they're coming to me and they're like, okay, I've spent $50,000 in the last year for coaching, and I don't feel like I'm any better off than where I've been, right?
I've heard that a few hundred times, yes.
Right. Or they're like, okay, I am on my last leg. I'm going to try just one more time before I got to go get a job at this point. And, you know, when you start talking about that, when I talk about those kind of things in video, if you are in that situation, your antennas are like going ding, because you can relate. Like, you know, sadly, there's so many different ways of coaching, right? And there's so many different styles of coaching. Not everyone reacts to, you know, the same style of coaching. It's just how it's going to be. But there are some people who need a little bit more than just coaching because the technology gets in your way, or, you know, whatever it may be. And so that's how I differentiated my business, is I decided that coaching and technology were going to go together. So if I can just get you being who you are, you know, leave the technology to my staff, you know what I mean? And then you don't have to worry about that. And so there are a lot of people out there that completely relate to the way that I'm deciding to do it, because they don't want any barriers into getting them to the level of success that they want to get to.
Yeah, so I know for a fact that some of your clients have just been shocked. Like they get 2 weeks into working with you and they're like, what do I do with all this spare time? Because they were constantly like freaking out about the technology, and not just freaking out about it. I mean, I'd say, you know, people ask me like, you know, what the difference is between what you do and what other people do. And I've explained it like this. A lot of other people have that, like, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. But I've explained, like, the way that social media is right now and the way that internet marketing is, it's like, today you learn to fish. Tomorrow, you learn to trawl for lobster. The next day, you're going to learn about crabbing. And by the way, the ships are going to change. In about 2 months, they're going to discontinue this ship and get you started with another ship. And you're going to have to learn a whole different system for driving the ship. And by the way, there's other types of fishing. We'll teach you those later. That's what it's really like. So it's not like just a learn to fish. You could starve to death while you're waiting to learn the right kind of fish. And so you do all that stuff for people. And so people will come along and they've been through these other coaching programs and they're like ripping their hair out because it hasn't been working, but it's because they've been through that experience. And then they go to you and it's like, they don't need to fish anymore. It's just, it's being done for them. And that makes a big difference for people.
And, you know, that we need our business to survive beyond us. You know, even if you're a coach, even if you are the brand, you need your business to be about more than you.
Yep.
And I learned this just from, you know, life, right? Because I have 3 kids, 3 grandkids, and something was always a happening. And because of that, I needed my business to continue to go. You know, it's a difference when you go for a paycheck every day, or like you're on salary and I know that paycheck was coming every Friday, right? then when mama's got to go bring home the bacon or we don't eat. And so, but then now as a mother, you can begin feeling guilty, or not even just as a mother, as a child, as a spouse, whatever, when you feel like you got to leave your family so you can go and do your business. And so you need to make sure that you have systems, strategies, automation tools that will keep your business going for you. A lot of these tools out here and a lot of the things that happen just serve one part. And you want to make sure that you have a whole wheel, that the spokes in the wheel are all lined up to keep your business going. And
as an entrepreneur, like with a new business now where I'm starting to create products, that's definitely something that I know can seem frustrating at first, because you're like, oh my God, there's so much work, there's so much effort, there's so much that has to go into it. The reality is that in 6 months, you'll be done with those products. You'll be done. You'll have those things that can make you money in your sleep. It's not always going to be like this. You can make it always like this. You can always come up with a new product or something, but.
Yes, and you created it once.
Correct.
So think about that. So even if it took you 6 months to create that online digital product, you can sell that sucker over and over and over and over and leave the buy button online, and now people can buy it while you sleep.
Right. Travis is asking a question. He wants to know, have you up-leveled, elevated, or changed your clientele? How have you elevated or changed your clientele? I mean, so
that's a good question.
Over time. So for me, I am just going to address this real quick. I've been in this particular business full time. I've been coaching for like 7 years, but I just took this on as like my full-time practice in January. And the clientele definitely has evolved. And for me, because I'm in a service business and I'm literally in a business that's a calling where like I am in service to people, I want to just serve the right people. But I was sort of floundering around, and I think that what happens is you want to feel what happens that feels right. And you want to go for more of that. The universe is constantly, we're all woo-woo here. The universe is constantly sending you signals. This feels good. This doesn't feel good. This feels good. This doesn't feel good. And I think it's when we feel like there's struggle, that's when we get to say, well, it's because this doesn't feel good. So then stop struggling and go towards the thing where there's ease. And that's kind of how my clientele has evolved just in this particular practice. Tina, go ahead.
Yeah. So definitely my clientele has up-leveled. And it up-levels pretty much like every 2 years. When I first started doing, I didn't merge my online marketing and my business consulting together. So I used to be a consultant that would go in physically to other people's businesses and help make them more efficient and grow. I did that for mom and pops for a very long time. And then I did online marketing. And what I found as far as the online marketing, that the clients that I used to go after didn't even have budgets for marketing. So it was like, so I had to change and really, as Travis is asking, up-leveling my client. So what I realized is that there are a lot of good people out there that are choosing now to be experts in their field. And they're using their expertise to sell their products and services. And I'm really good at positioning someone as an expert, online, offline, whichever way. And so deciding that I was going to let everything else go, right? I no longer do local marketing. I no longer do any of those things. I only concentrate. And as a matter of fact, even last month, some of my done for you clients, I've now sent them to other people because I'm only focusing on this one lane. And that is helping my clients become the experts that they are. So I don't know, Travis, if that answered your question. I hope it did.
Travis says, great point. Have a minimum criteria for your clients. You need to get paid first. And he's absolutely right. Yeah. And Tina, I wanted to talk also about this because I think it addresses Travis's question as well. In your case, and this is certainly in my strategic game plan, going from 1-to-1 all the time to 1-to-many. I think, Travis, that's a great way of up-leveling your clients, because when you have a product that you're coming out with, that's 1-to-many. You know, you make it once and then you sell it over and over again. In Tina's case, she started Facebook, strategic Facebook mastermind groups that can be 1-to-many. Not all the time. She's still serving each person individually, but she's also serving them as a group. And I too I'm moving towards starting a group coaching program for that specific reason as well. I also want to be able to help 1-to-many. And I
yes.
The platform of Blab is 1-to-many, right?
Yes, the platform of Blab is 1-to-many. And one of the reasons a lot of people are like, oh, no, I don't want to be a part of a group program. But when you do it the way that we're doing it, when you zero and focus into one specific thing and you gather everyone there for that one thing, you can help 1-to-many, because as you're helping each person, it's helping others as they see what's going on. So like my groups see when people are happy, when they're sad. I don't like censor my group. Right. So I don't, I want all of that, because we can all see, for instance, that success has many faces. That, yeah, today I might throw up before I go out on that stage, right? But I'm still going.
Yeah, and I, from my perspective, having been in one of your mastermind programs, we get about a third of our teachings from each other, because as we're going through, we're learning, we're seeing what other people are doing with you. We're seeing, oh, this person's launching this program. We get to see that process before we go through it ourselves. That's a beautiful thing. And it's also, in some ways, it takes away the fear. Knowledge is power, right? And in some cases, that knowledge makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. We have a brave soul. Let's see who's the brave soul popping in today.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm not brave. I'm addicted.
You're addicted.
Big difference.
Addicted to Blab.
Yep.
Oh my God! So how many hours are you spending on Blab?
Between diaper changes, grocery runs, and everything else in between, probably like an hour and a half at a time, I think.
Wow. Okay.
But okay. It's both to learn and to obviously give value back to the community as well. So. I just love what you guys are talking about. I've been kind of just sitting here and listening. So
tell us what you do.
I do a lot of branding and consulting.
Okay.
I've been doing it for about 15 years. Started off as a graphic designer. My first business was when I was 13 years old, I think. Failed many times. Best way to learn, I think.
Yes.
And what you were resonating about earlier, or what you were saying earlier about you've had clients that don't even have a marketing budget.
Right.
I've been in that boat way too many times, and I had to jump ship.
And then they want the hookup.
Yeah. They want everything. And then some.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when you talk to them and you consult with them, they're like, yeah, I want it. And then when you pull out your proposal with an invoice, they're like, we can't afford you right now.
Yeah.
And, and you already know in the back of your mind, you're charging, enough to pay your bills and take a little bit home. You're not ripping anybody off, right? It's not, We don't operate at an agency level, right?
Yep.
We respect that. I don't have a $40,000 coffee making machine that somebody else has to pay for.
Mm-hmm. So I want to just jump in real quick before we find out how we can help you, to just say, if you're an entrepreneur out there, there is nothing wrong with asking some questions up front about money so you can qualify your people. Now, I'm not saying that you're not, but I'm saying a lot of people out there, they're scared to talk money. They're like, I'm going to prove to you how great my service is before I ever bring up the money. And a lot of times that just wastes everybody's time, because having a little chat, or as Tina said, they're wanting the hookup. So that's, those of you out there that are scared to say my fees are, or could, do you want to start, do you want to hear about the consulting rates, or have you hired a consultant before? There's a bunch of different ways of coming at it. So it doesn't have to be like, how much money can you afford? And will you pay me on time? Which are the questions that you want answered. It's still fair to ask the questions. And that for me as an entrepreneur was a big hump. And once I got over it, it was like, oh God, this is so much easier than I realized.
And selling to the wrong market before, because I want to get to you, but I really need to jump into what Hallie was just saying. And selling to the wrong market, sometimes, right? You can't sell to people who want to pay you $1 for a service that you need to sell at 100. That just can't happen. And so I can tell you now, and this was a hard process for me to learn because I'm hard-headed, but I was mixing giving away things and donating time with running my business. It had to separate.
Yeah.
Because you have to generate money. That's what you're in business for. And it's okay. I mean, I donate so much time. I donate so much, so clear. If I wanted to survive, be able to pay my electric bill and my kids eat, I had to get crystal clear on who I was selling to. And so the people that I help for free and give time to can't afford my services. They can't. And that's just the reality of it. So sometimes you have to have those hard conversations with yourself and decide, are you trying to sell to the wrong market?
Now tell us, you came on set to sit.
Yes.
I just came here because I was inspired by your ladies' conversation around it, and I'm just here to add more value to what you guys are doing. But I was always I was stuck in that conundrum for a while, where being able to, because coming from a design background, because I was the artsy fartsy kind of person, I was never the business person, right? I would say, you pay me, I'll design something really cool for you, and we'll call it a day, right? But when we started getting into, hey, this is your business that you're running, you need to start making sure that you can hold your own. And it's a weird mentality, and I consult with my clients now, and I have a process in my consulting that I do. I call it selfish before you're selfless. Okay? You have to be selfish before you can be selfless. Because if you don't support yourself, you can't support anyone else.
Well, and
right?
my favorite expression that I never understood as a child, but now I understand completely because it's basically what you're saying, is charity begins at home. You cannot, if you can't take care of yourself first, put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. And that's a huge thing for people. It's like, you will die without that oxygen mask, and then you can't help anybody else. So a lot of the work that I do is around helping women with transformation. And in fact, I have a new product that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks called Reclaiming You, Unlocking Your Personal Happiness Code. And it's about helping women to remember to put themselves first, because a lot of women, and they don't have that balance. They don't have that work-home life balance. They don't have that ability to get themselves. They've forgotten, or if they ever had that ability to put themselves first. Not most men don't have that. I think it's like at age 7 where it splits. Girls get taught to please, and men get taught to take care of themselves. And it's just like goes like this, and it never comes back together again. And women are never
the social gender gap, I think.
Yeah.
Social psychological gap. I agree with you. And then back to your point, Tina, about price points where people are really, really shy.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 approaches with some of my clients, and you'll learn this with experience for everybody out there that's just starting out. You'll know when it's appropriate to give somebody a discounted price point and when it's not. And I'll give you a perfect example. I have a client of mine that's here, and exceptional relationship between the 2 of us. Never ever complained about money, always paid on time, always fully present in the consulting and in the sharing of feedback and all that. And I gave him my best prices, aka a little bit discounted, because his network now, this gentleman owns a collection company. He does debt collection, he does a bailiff service and all that. But the network of his business associates are all law firms, and they're all legal clientele of that sort. And he's openly said to me, hey, let's work on my projects. Once I get them done, I'll be more than happy to introduce you to this law firm and that law firm and this agent and that agent. Right? So that commitment from his part was already given to me. And it validated in the back of my heart that saying, hey, you know what? Let's work with this guy's budget. Let's work with his price points and keep this relationship going. And it's worked phenomenally well. Versus some guy promising the star and the moons and everything else in between and saying, just this one time, can you give me a discount? You know, I'll introduce my brother-in-law to you. It's like, you know, then you can get that feeling, is it definitely worth it or not? Another way to save that financial struggle in your mind, and I think both of you ladies probably already have this, is where you have set prices for your packages, right? Is I'll do this much for this price point. Then that way, because if it's already been thought out beforehand, then you don't feel like you're being put on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
So how much is for this? You're like, gee, I don't know. I'm doing this calculation thing in the back of my head. All you got to do is just pull out your piece of paper and say, you know, here's my 3 packages. See where yourself fit in. And if there's any additional stuff you want to do on top, it'll be an hourly rate at X number of dollars.
Yeah, that can be a huge difference. And also it takes the fear out of it for you, and it takes the uncertainty out of it for you. And once you start doing it, once you start on that path, you start to feel comfortable with that. It's like you take your power back around money, and that helps hugely. Really, so much of I find like I can hear people who are hesitant in our conversations. Like I'll do a complimentary session because I want to kind of see, are you a good fit? Or am I a good fit for you? Am I really going to be able to help you? And I'm willing to put my time into that. We'll get 3/4 of the way through. I'll go to talk about money, and half the time people are like, oh my God, you know, like she's bringing it up. I don't have to. Mm-hmm. And that's because talking about money is scary for a lot of people. And Travis says a powerful quote that changed my thinking. If you give your clients a discount, they will treat you as if you gave them a discount. And that's true. It's like there's people who like to shop at Target, and there's people who like to shop at Bloomingdale's. And the difference between those people is mindset. And if you want to go after the clients who have a Bloomingdale's mindset, you're not looking for them at Target. And don't, if you're looking for people who are budget shoppers, you're going to get budget clients. So that may be an issue, or it might be fine. It just depends on what you're selling.
Yeah, I'm a package price girl. I believe in package prices. I believe that, especially if you're an entrepreneur like me, that when you jump into something, you're in. You don't just put your toe in. You're in completely. And if, like I am your growth partner, if you want to grow your business, my staff, me, we're all in. And so for that, I have to charge you. I can't reduce my price. I'm bringing my staff. And if you have a launch tomorrow and something's not going right, I would be the person to stay up all night to figure it out. And so that has to come at a price. So I am all about package prices.
Can I share my weird calculation with you guys?
Sure.
It's worked for me really, really well. You guys may kind of relate to it or not, but this is how I usually do my calculation. With any of my services that I have, I've already done all the market research and picked an average price point. So for example, if there's a logo design, just as an example, and the average going price point is $100, right? Mm-hmm. And this is not Fiverr quality stuff. This is a proper quality logo that somebody gets. And through the consulting part of it, if the client says, well, I need this, and couple of extra bells and whistles. Oh, and can you make me some graphics for Facebook and, whatever. They keep adding on to the list of things to do. What I would take the base price that I've done my research. So I'll look at 3 or 4 other local companies here and say, okay, how much does this person charge for X? So I'll take an average and say for numbers' sake, it's $100, right? I've always used this weird calculation in my head, which is 3, 5, and 7. So if they're asking me to do 1 or 2 things that are extra, I'll add an extra 30%, right? If it's a whole bucket load of stuff, I'll add another extra 50% on top. And if it's something completely unique, I'll add 70% on top. Now, how I justify that to myself is how far out of the way am I going for this one individual client to get something done, right? Kind of like a wedding cake, right? You can get the basic flat round cake. You can get the 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier, and the higher you go up, the more expensive it gets. And the amazing part of what I've realized of that is I have clients that say, oh, email me your price list. I send it off. I'm confident. I have nothing to worry about. After you pick any of those packages, I'll be making some money, right? But then they're, oh, we want all this extra stuff. And they'll come back to you and they'll say, you know what, we appreciate the fact that you actually are charging for the extra stuff because we realize it. When you're sitting across from a proper business person, they will treat you like a proper business person.
Yeah.
Right? They know you got a business to run. And if anybody is haggling your time or asking you weird questions or, in other words, window shopping, you'll get a sense of that just through experience. Right? And I think in our hearts, we want to help everyone.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we can't.
Yep. So I think because we were supposed to stop a long time ago, but I think one of the best things to end on is what you just got finished talking about. So I'm going to give everybody that's watching a way for you to price your services, because when one of the sessions I used to give is for people who want to transition out of a day job into their own business. And so we would set a goal. When can you do that? So I'm going to teach you right now what I used to tell them. So basically, you have to look at your bills. How much money do you need per month? Okay, because price is relative. Most people are looking what their competitors charge. I don't believe you do that. You need to keep your household running first. So look at how much money you need coming into your household. And so that's the first thing. The second thing you have to look at is, if you quit your job, do you have benefits at your job? Do you have a 401k? Do you have all of these things? How much is it going to cost you to maintain those things when you quit? Because remember, insurance that's being paid for by your job and that now becomes COBRA when you quit is a whole different ballgame. If you have retirement, if you had a 401k and your employer is contributing to that. So you need to take that amount of money, and now you know what your pool is. So then you decide, I'm going to work 40 hours a week or whatever it's going to be, or I'm going to work 60 hours a week, whatever it is. Once you divide that, you know how much you need to make per hour in your business. That's just the bottom line. Now, I don't believe in trading hours for dollars anymore, but that is a rough calculation that you can do to know if you're charging enough for your services. So let's say you did all of those calculations and it said you were going to work 40 hours a week, and now you got to make $50 per hour for every hour you do. If the project you're getting ready to do is going to take you 2 hours, then you need to at least be charging $100. That just has to be the bottom line. And so if I didn't give any advice today, I hope you take that one, because that is the one thing that most entrepreneurs do wrong. We want the business so much, we'll cut the price. We just think, oh, we just got to get started. And so we end up doing things for way below, and we're wondering why we're working harder than we've ever worked in our life. And then we're like, okay, why am I not getting any further? It's because we didn't decide what our standard has to be before we start. So that is one way to decide what your standard has to be.
And so a couple of things, I'm just following the chat right now. Nicole, we do this Sunday night starting at 9 p.m. EST. Oh my gosh, Nadim, you're doing all this bizarre stuff with your, the camera's like going like crazy. So we do this at 9 o'clock Sunday nights. You can do for our Blab Sunday nights, and we do advertise it the 24 hours beforehand. So if you're subscribed to the Blab, then you should be able to, if you're subscribed to us, you should be able to get on to our next Blab. But then I'm just following along with the chat, and somebody's asking about family and friend discounts. And I just, in general, just want to say, you know, in talking about what we were speaking about before with the idea that it's Bloomingdale's or Target, and there's going to be a target market for both of that, you can absolutely discount part of your services for a family and friend. I have a policy because I do transformational coaching. So sometimes I'll barter with people because I want their services and they want mine. And then it's not my hourly rate because that's much higher than most other people's. And then sometimes I'll have somebody that, like, I just took on a pro bono client yesterday, and it was somebody I like came at like from a completely unusual space. And I don't know, I could just tell I was going to take this guy on, and it's a guy, and I normally just work with women, but I took him on pro bono. I'm happy to do that. But I have a policy, like only 20% of my time is pro bono, period. And if not, then we'll just move, you know, I'll slot you in when I'm done with those other people. But I don't, that's what prevents me from not having, you know, my mortgage payment every month. And I think that for most of us, we really do think in terms of trading time for dollars. We don't have to. But what Tina said gives us a baseline where we can say, all right, this is our minimum. You can charge, like, you know, I can charge $700 an hour for my time, but my minimum baseline has to be X. I know I can't go below that. Sometimes I work with people on the phone and I'm like, you're going to be a pain. I love the fact that I get to help you, but in the meantime, boy, you're going to be a pain. And so I might charge you more if you're going to be a pain. You know what they say, like attitude costs $1 extra. And that's, you know, that's just how it is. But I know that if you're awesome and sweet and wonderful and you only have 6 pennies in your pocket, you call me up and you're like, I really want to work with you, but I'm broke. I have a minimum below which I cannot go because I have to put my own oxygen mask on first before I can help others.
Yeah, and that took me a long time to learn. Okay, yeah. Because I wanted to help everybody. You know, I just want to help the whole world, right? But I wasn't helping myself that way. And so the most important point that I can say as far as friends and family and discounts and stuff like that right now is that I do not work on friends and family during my work time at all right now. That's just how it has to be. Because I'm, you know, if they want me to help, you know, I got to earn my money first and then I can help, because when they go to work, they want to get paid, right? If they decided to have a job and they go to work, if, you know, XYZ Corporation says, I'm not paying you today just because I want the friends and family discount, they would look at them like they're crazy. And so I just asked my friends and family no longer to bother me while I'm working. You know what? Once I'm done working, I will be more than willing to help. But I can't do it any other way. Not any longer. Learn that lesson.
Probably say something to that point is, I know we all say we're only here for another half an hour, but time flies. This may sound harsh, but I had a learning lesson myself not too long ago. And it really comes down to the price point of how you price yourself. And I've been told and I've read and I've heard that what you charge as a price point is in essence a direct reflection of how you value yourself. Right?
She can teach you that.
and it's not your client's
That's what she does fault. Every day.
That's awesome.
Right. And you're charging what you're worth.
There you go, right? But it's not your client's fault if you don't value yourself high enough. Right?
That is true. That's a great statement.
Because I've been in the circle so many times where I will, I'll do it for $500. When I know it's something that I would regularly charge $1,000 for, okay, fine. So what ends up happening is, at the end of the day, you got to bring home the same amount of gold, right? So what you're doing now is, instead of focusing on one client, you're scrambling to get gold from other places. And what that does, it screws up your focus when you're trying to work with one client, because you're panicking in the back of your head, saying, well, gee, where am I going to get my money for my mortgage or my other car payment or whatever? So if you share your value up front, say, look, this is how much I'm worth and this is what I'm going to be charging, then it saves all that headache later on, because you're not doing anybody a favor by charging less. You think you're doing your client a favor, because in the long run, that's just going to drag you down even lower. Because then what happens is you get demotivated. You start paying less attention, less focus, because you're just not getting what you initially feel that you're worth. So, and even start higher. Start high. You expect to be haggled. Expect that from your clients. Expect that part, I can't afford it right now. Over time, if you build the value with that relationship, that money will show up. That money will manifest from itself somewhere, where it'll just end up in your bank account somehow.
Yeah, I think, I've got Travis on the chat right now, and he's saying I do all this stuff, I let my wife handle this stuff because I really don't.
I was just reading that too.
He's saying I don't charge what I'm worth, and I disagree. Just the last thing you just said, because I know so many good, kind-hearted people who are in service, who are totally undervaluing themselves, and especially people who are in the spiritual practice of, sometimes doing coaching, but also ministerial work, and people who do a lot of the holistic arts, massage therapists and yoga teachers and stuff. They just undercharge, and there's this undervaluing thing that happens because they have this feeling that if you're doing spiritual work, that you shouldn't make money or you shouldn't profit. And that does not change over time. That is not something where the money finds your way into the bank account. I wish that it did. I would love that. But, I've seen, I had a friend who I watched become homeless as he was totally, utterly, completely in service at all times. He also began to couch surf because he had no way of paying his rent. And that went on for years. And eventually I had to say to him, dude, you're not doing yourself any favors, because you're not, you're doing other stuff, not taking care of yourself first. But I feel like if we put that out there to the universe, I don't need to be taken care of, the universe is okay, you don't need to be taken care of. If we say to the universe, hey, put money in my bank account, then the universe is hey, put some money in your bank account.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
and the bottom line is, we're going to go because we're getting to 4 minutes. So 4 minutes. So we're going to have our wrap up, right? And so for me, I want to thank everybody for being with us today. I think everybody had something powerful to say in this blab today. So I think anyone that listens to the replay is going to be able to get at least one really good nugget. And so, my nugget for our topic, which was, how to get money, infuse your business in the next 30 days. It really is just get out there and make people aware of what you do. And, do it in a way that you're not talking from your language, talk from your clients. And that's from their language. And that's why their pain point and in video will work a lot better than anything else. Hallie and I will be here every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Hallie, you have any closing words?
I do also want to say thank you. I really appreciate everybody being here tonight. I really appreciate you joining us this evening. Where are you calling in from anyway?
Myself?
Yeah.
Vancouver, Canada.
Oh, I was just in Vancouver 2 weeks ago. So I'm really happy to have you on. I just posted a link to my website, which is HallieEvelyn.com. I do offer a complimentary coaching session, and I'm happy to help you if you have some issues that you want to work through. First one's free, kids. And I know that Tina also offers a whole done-for-you marketing program. Tina, where do they go to find you?
TinaBrinkleyPotts.com.
Yeah, and like Tina Brinkley Potts, like it's on like the name on the blab. You can also
the name on the blab.
On my website, it's better to go to HallieEvelyn.com, which is the link that I just posted. And yeah, we'll be here every Sunday night. So please tell your friends, subscribe to the next blab, follow us. If you follow us, then you get notification of any blabs that we do. Where if you subscribe to this blab, it's a one-time thing. I don't think they have blab subscriptions properly yet, but it's a totally awesome platform.
But as you could see, the platform is changing. When I came in today, there was a new face, homepage and everything. So I'm excited. I can't wait for this platform to grow. I think it's a great platform. This is, you can really, we need time. I think what needs to happen in the online space is people really need to be able to vet the people that they start working with. And so I think that people should be willing to be authentic and be present in things like this. So I think you'll find better people when you're watching these types of things. So
anyway, thank you guys very much. Have a great evening.
I want to thank both of you for letting me in.
It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
It was nice having you too.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.